Picture this. Monday morning in Frisco, a brand new commercial build, and a subcontractor pulls up ready to work. The general contractor looks at one piece of paper and says, "Nope, not today." What went wrong?
Oh, this happens all the time in North Texas, and it's almost never about the quality of the work. It's about a certificate of insurance and one little box that wasn't checked right. And that's what we want to unpack, because commercial general liability runs underneath almost every business in Texas, and most owners don't fully understand it.
And that's why we do this show. So let's start at the foundation. When people say general liability, or CGL, what are we talking about?
Great place to start. It's your first line of defense against third-party claims, and there are three big buckets: bodily injury to someone who isn't your employee, property damage to someone else's stuff, and personal and advertising injury, like libel, slander, or copyright issues in your marketing.
So the classic example, everybody pictures, the customer who slips and falls in your shop.
That's the one. And slip and fall claims are among the most common a small business faces. The folks at Schell Insurance see these constantly because it doesn't take a huge business to get sued. A customer trips on a mat, hurts their wrist, and suddenly you've got medical bills and legal fees on your desk.
And CGL steps in for both the damages and the defense, right? The lawyers aren't cheap either.
Exactly right. And that defense piece is huge. Even a claim that goes nowhere costs money to fight. This is why the team at Schell Insurance tells clients, general liability isn't the fancy coverage, it's the foundation coverage.
Now, here's something I think trips a lot of Texas owners up. Is general liability actually required by law in Texas?
Such an important question. And the honest answer is, for most businesses, no. Texas does not mandate general liability. But here's a twist. The state doesn't require it, but your contracts do, your clients do, and some of your cities do.
Wait, unpack that city part, because I don't think people know that.
Take Dallas. If you're a contractor there, you have to register annually and show proof of general liability. So the state stays quiet, but the city says no coverage, no permit. And across North Texas, you can't get on a commercial job site without handing the general contractor a certificate first.
Which brings us right back to that subcontractor stuck in the parking lot in Frisco. So let's talk about that certificate, because I have a feeling it's more complicated than one piece of paper.
You have no idea. This is the single biggest misconception Texas owners need to hear. A certificate of insurance, that COI everybody hands around, is just a summary. It is not the policy, and by itself, it gives nobody any coverage.
Oh, that's a big one. So if I'm a general contractor with a stack of certificates from my subs, I might feel protected but be totally exposed.
You nailed it. When a contract says name me as an additional insured, that status only becomes real if the endorsement is actually attached to the policy. The certificate can say whatever it wants. If the endorsement isn't there, the coverage isn't there. This is exactly the gap the advisors at Schell Insurance catch before it becomes a lawsuit.
Okay, so for our Texas contractors and subs listening, what endorsements do they actually need on that policy?
3 show up in almost every North Texas subcontract. Blanket additional insured, and you want it for both ongoing and completed operations. A waiver of subrogation, which stops the insurance companies from suing each other after a claim. And primary and non-contributory, so your policy pays first, not the general contractors.
And completed operations is the sneaky one there, isn't it? Because the job could be done for years.
That's such a critical point. Completed operations covers claims that pop up after you finished and left the site. Something you built or installed fails a year and a half later and causes injury. Without that piece, you think you're covered and you're wide open. Schell Insurance walks contractors through every one of these before they sign.
Perfect moment to give people the number, because reviewing a contract's insurance requirements is not a do-it-yourself project.
It really isn't. If you've got a subcontractor lease with insurance language you don't fully understand, call Schell Insurance at 972-423-4546 or head to the website. That's schellinsurance.com. That's SCHELL insurance.com.
Now, let's connect this to something we've covered a lot on this show. All those management liability policies, the D&O, the cyber, the E&O, those are claims made. General liability is different, isn't it?
Yes, and it's a smart distinction. Most general liability is written on an occurrence basis. What matters is when the incident happened, not when the claim gets filed. So if it occurred while your policy was active, you're generally covered even if the lawsuit shows up years later.
That's a different animal from the claims-made world.
Completely different. And it's why you shouldn't assume one business policy works like another. That's the value of a Texas independent agency like Schell Insurance. They look at how all the pieces fit together for your operation.
Let's touch on limits before we wrap, without getting into numbers. How do they even work?
There are 2 you care about: your per occurrence limit,
the most the policy pays for any single claim, and your aggregate limit, the total for the whole policy period. And here's the Texas reality. A lot of subcontracts demand a specific per occurrence limit before they'll let you bid. If your limit is too low, you lose the job.
So the right coverage isn't just protection, it's letting you win work.
That's the mindset shift. In a market growing as fast as Collin and Denton County, your insurance is part of whether you can compete. The people at Schell Insurance understand the local contracts and risks, and that's why so many North Texas owners rely on them.
So if somebody's realizing they're not sure what's actually on their policy, what's the move?
Simple. Reach out to Schell Insurance. Call 972-423-4546 or head to the website. That's schellinsurance.com. That's SCHELL insurance.com. Get your real review before a contract or a claim forces the issue.
Perfect advice. Don't wait for the parking lot moment in Frisco to learn your certificate doesn't hold up. Call Schell Insurance at 972-423-4546 or visit schellinsurance.com. That's SCHELL insurance.com.
Know your coverage before you need it.
Thanks for listening to Insurance Talk Texas.